Greetings and welcome to the Voices Less Said podcast show with Dr. PMak. Today I'm excited to be speaking with Alex Ruhter. Alex has a wide range of experience starting multiple ventures from for-profit to not-for-profit organizations. He has built multiple companies and learned many lessons along the way. Alex's primary giftedness lies in his ability to cast clear visions, simplify complex systems, and build strong teams. Alex's primary purpose in life, as he puts it to me, is to give honor to God. He desires to lead his family well by serving his wife and intentionally discipling their 5 children. These are the things that define success for him. And so I'm so excited to have a conversation with him to learn more about his work, to learn more about the impact that he is making in business, and also to learn more about the legacy that he is living as he does his work. So join me today on Voices Less Said podcast show with Dr. PMak. So, Alex, I'm always, just, talking to you earlier on about just the different things that you've been working on. It got me thinking. So,
Okay.
as an entrepreneur, what has been your weirdest business idea that never took off the ground?
The craziest business idea?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so I think there are kind of two different types of people in the world. There are those
Mm-hmm.
that can invent ideas in their mind out of nothing, and
Mm-hmm.
then there are those that are designed to make ideas happen.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the latter.
Okay.
So when I think about entrepreneurship, man,
Yeah.
I'm go big or go home, right?
Yeah.
Let's
Mm-hmm.
let's shoot for the moon.
Yeah.
I'm typically the guy that comes alongside somebody that has the idea and then
Mm-hmm.
says, can this happen or could it work? And I'm that
Yeah.
person. Now, what I could
Yeah.
tell you is the craziest idea, or maybe the funniest idea,
Uh-huh.
is somebody that was struggling with, like when they sleep,
Yeah.
uh, uh, grinding their teeth. Maybe
Okay.
that's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
that's the thing that some
Mm-hmm.
people deal with, and they were trying to create this device that would um, like alert you and wake you up when it sensed pressure on your teeth.
Oh,
So
wow. It's
totally
insane.
random, but
Yeah.
this was one of those conversations we had where we're like, if we could create this, we'll go to Shark Tank. Why
Yeah,
not?
yeah, yeah. Exactly. Wow.
So
That's
nothing
that's
came of it.
wow. That's amazing. Alex has have just been, working over the past couple of weeks. I've known you for a number of years, but I had to go in and do my own research about the kind of work that you've been doing. Alongside, you've done an amazing, amount of work around this entrepreneurial space. One of the things that I wondered was just around the issue of working with teams, right? And so I know your strength is in sort of providing and casting visions to teams. Um, have you ever had like a vision that's been so crazy that it was crazy, and that you failed to sell that vision to a team? Have you had those, instances where you put together your team to run with this idea, but have you ever failed to sell a vision to your team?
That's a very interesting question, Patrick. And
Mm.
I've had to develop quite a few teams, both on
Yeah.
the nonprofit world and the
Yep.
for-profit world,
Mm-hmm.
in
Mm-hmm.
business.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have quite a bit of experience here. And
Yeah.
one of the common threads that has really stood out to me is the fact that people are so hungry for purpose that
Ah.
if you can cast a vision that allows them to participate in something that's purposeful,
Yep.
you will attract somebody that is willing to charge hell with a squirt gun. That's
Wow.
the kind of people that you get. And so
Yeah.
in one of the nonprofit ventures, I was in church world,
Mm-hmm.
when we planted a church.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much hunger even inside church attenders where they
Mm-hmm.
long to be a part of something that's bigger than them. And when you give
Yep.
them an opportunity, and even if it means that they're setting up chairs and tearing down
Mm.
chairs, if they
Mm.
know that they are a part of something that's bigger,
Yeah.
they will bend over backwards to be a part of that team. So
Mm.
the only times that I've ever struggled with a team
Yeah.
are when I'm trying to push something forward and I
Mm-hmm.
have not successfully cast a vision for
Mm-hmm.
why this thing is is important at a deeper level than just accomplishing something for me, right?
Okay, let me pause you there though, Alex, because and here's sometimes where I find myself, right? That I know the vision, I know exactly where we want to go. But what I'll do is I'll work with the team and be able to show them enough so that they are not afraid of where we are going. Because sometimes it's too crazy for me to share, to say, okay, here's where we are going. Is that something that's normal, or it's bad leadership?
No,
Yeah.
I think that makes sense. So you
Mm,
have to be a little bit careful, especially for the big dreamers, which I
mm.
think I share that with you.
Yeah,
Let's talk about things that will change the world. That's
exactly. Yep.
I absolutely love it.
Yep.
A lot of people they don't move that quickly, and so
Yeah.
you do have to give them bite-sized pieces of
Mm.
what it is you're trying to accomplish so that they
Yeah.
can actually see that they're making a difference towards
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
continuum.
Yeah.
But the thing that has really transformed my team building, I
Mm.
would say, is that
Mm.
I have to communicate that the thing that we're working towards is not something that benefits me. If
Uh-huh.
it's something that benefits me, people can they can identify that, and
Yeah.
that's not what moves their heart.
Yeah.
And if you have the mindset as an entrepreneur or
Yeah.
as a business leader or even a church leader that
Mm.
what you're doing is not about you,
Mm.
it will attract people to join in because they understand that the mission is bigger than you, and that's just
I love
transformational.
I love that. I love that. And in so many ways, as you were saying that, it made me feel so comfortable in some of the conversations that I'm navigating right now, right? Some of the things that I'm working on right now, that I sit here and I'm like, man, this thing is crazy. Why am I even doing it? Because A, it doesn't benefit me. It's like a whole, like you said, world changing. It's, generational changing. And so
Yes.
that's really, really helpful for folks to understand and to hear too. One of the
Well, and
things
it's
that
it's
I,
so
Mhm.
it's so it's not how normal people operate, because most people are they're concerned with the next thing that they
The
have
next
for
thing,
them,
yeah,
and they're
yeah,
they're building their
yeah,
own whatever it is,
yeah,
not kingdom necessarily, but
yeah,
we're always trying to accomplish things for ourselves, and that's
yeah,
normal. It's not like that is
mm,
a selfish thing, or that you need to
mm,
feel bad about doing
yeah,
that for yourself.
yeah,
But when you're trying to cast a vision and move somebody towards a movement,
yeah,
you have to make it bigger than you. And when you do, you kind of set yourself apart from
yeah.
how most people operate.
Oh man, yeah. I didn't think this conversation would go this way, but yeah, you're speaking into certain things that are going on in my life right now, and I'm like, man, this is crazy. And so this week I sat with something that, because I was trying to just review the things that I'm working on, I'm like, this is crazy. And then the thought popped up in my head, and I did a short video about it, that doing things that matter is hard. Doing things that matter is difficult, right? And so if you're doing these world changing things, it's not going to be easy, right? It's going to be really, 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 really tough. And so as you speak, I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm good, because I'm also sort of kind of weird in a way that I'm set apart from other people, because the kind of things that I'm thinking about are just perhaps not so many people are thinking about, right?
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
you and I have been friends, and I see your thinking as well, and I see the way that you work. Alex, tell me something that, you have this ability, and you always look, and you say this often, that you always want to understand the unique wiring of each individual that you bring to a team. So, and I know I've read Elon Musk's sort of book, biography. I'm not sure if it's an official one, but I've also had him say it a couple of times, that he has particular interview questions when he's looking to hire. Do you have a weird interview question that you'd be like, okay, maybe this person is not going to be coming on my team? Or have you ever hired someone specifically because they challenged you?
That's an interesting question. So,
Mm.
thinking about trying to recruit
Mm.
people, towards something,
Yeah.
I'm I tend to look for people that know what their skill set is and are pretty comfortable sharing a passion
Okay.
that they have.
Yeah.
So, anytime I'm talking to somebody or kind of exploring what the opportunities are,
Hmm.
it's not that hard to see if somebody is passionate about something, that's going to come out fairly quickly, right? You can ask a question, you can gauge how they are responding just interpersonally with their personality. If somebody has passion inside them where they are trying to work towards something, to me that is a light bulb where I want to hone in on that, and I want to focus in on that and understand, okay, tell me more about that specific thing, because it's not just about connecting somebody to the broader vision that's bigger than you. That obviously is a part of it, but people also want to contribute with what they know they're good at.
Okay. Yeah.
So if you can help them uncover that, listen, people will do things that they'll never get paid for, that they'll never get known for, that they'll never get credit for. If you can cast a vision that's big enough where they can use their skill set to participate on something that's bigger than you, you've got them. You've got them. And that's what I just think it's in the heart of everybody,
So I guess what you're saying, though, in terms of the question, is finding ways to unpack or finding ways to get the person to talk about what they're good at, to talk about their skill set. And then you as an entrepreneur, you then sit back and say, I hear what Patrick is saying. Patrick would be a perfect fit for this particular part of the business that I'm trying to build.
Yeah. I'd say I was going to lunch earlier this week with a new acquaintance and a younger guy. And I didn't know kind of his religious background or anything. We were just kind of shooting the breeze at the beginning as we normally do. And early on in the conversation, I said, hey, I want to ask you a deep question. Can I? Just to get permission from him. And the first thing I said was, I said, Landon, why are you on this planet?
Whoa. Yeah.
He's 18 or 19 years old. He doesn't have a big understanding of what it means to be an adult or any of that. But I wanted to understand from the very beginning, I'm here to have a conversation with you, and I care about you enough to know what's really going on underneath. Wow. So you don't have to have all the answers. I'm not saying that, but I want to hear what is in your heart, my friend. What is inside there? And so I asked that question and let him talk, and I realized very quickly he was confident enough to say he felt like he was on this earth to make God known to the people around him.
Wow.
This is an 18-year-old kid. I thought, okay, I can work with this. Let me ask some questions now to follow up on where is that going to direct you? And I'm not doing this through a lens of how can he serve me, right?
Yeah.
I'm doing this through the lens of, okay, Landon, I am here. I want to see you thrive with what God has put in your heart. Whether or not that means working with me or being a part of my team or anything that we could accomplish, I'm concerned about you, and I want to see you thrive and go somewhere. Wow. So that's where that conversation went for me, and that was 3 days ago.
I love it, because when you focus on the thing that makes me thrive or the thing that will make me do what I do, then ultimately that I'm going to put into the work, I'm going to put into the venture what will make this whole thing work for us. Because if I'm satisfied, then we are able to move forward together, hey?
There's an incredible trust that happens when somebody understands that you're seeking their highest possible good, that it's not something that they can do for you, but it's like, it's a completely different paradigm shift, and they trust you and they lean in on that relationship. If you want to talk about influence in building teams or casting vision or coming up with an innovative idea, it is all going to be centered around relational trust and buy-in. And influence comes when you focus on that.
Yeah, that's true. And so I love that. So the name of my consulting firm is called Ubuntu Consulting, and Ubuntu itself is a play of words, right? So Ubuntu in the Zulu language from South Africa, means I am because we are. And then the HU, the Hunu, is manners, comes from my Shona language. And Ubuntu just means I am because we are, that our destinies are inextricably linked. And so as I hear you speak, right, it's about finding this balance, finding this place where you are coming in perhaps as an employee or as a staff. I want to make you excel. I want to make you grow in whatever gifting or area of gifting that you have. And as you do that, then you are also working in the business to make the business grow. So it's not... It's not an employee-employer relationship. It's like, hey, how do we find the good in the both of us to be able to both move forward together?
Yes.
right?
Can you imagine? Can you imagine what would happen in just
Mm,
envision a publicly traded company,
yeah.
somewhere that is, thousands of staff. There's an executive team,
Mm,
significant wealth that's being built, and you have all these executives that have very specific jobs. They know what they
mm,
need to do.
mm.
It's calculated to some extent.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if an executive in a company like that took took his mindset and flipped it on its head and
Mm,
actually began to ask the question, what is it that I could do to help all of these people that are underneath me
mm,
thrive,
mm,
even if it means that they're not serving my mission?
mm,
If you can communicate that
mm.
and you become known for, listen, I'm here to care about you. I'm here to understand what your best pathway
Yeah.
is. Once people can recognize that in you,
Yeah.
they will become devoted team players that are a part of your mission
Mm,
moving
mm.
forward because you initially made it not about you. I think it could transform leadership, across the world if the leaders had
Yeah.
that type of
Yeah.
mindset.
That's amazing, right? So I think of servant leadership. I think of this concept of, hey, I'm here not as number one, but I'm here as the first among equals. I'm here to serve you as we serve this mission, right?
Yes.
That's
Yes.
that's amazing. And so let me flip a question here to you, Alex. You have done multiple entrepreneurial ventures, both in the profit and non-profit world, and you've learned so many lessons along the way, right? What's been the most expensive mistake you've made as an entrepreneur? And do you have perhaps a never again list, like a list of things that you say I would never ever do again? What's been that like for you? What's the most expensive mistake you've made?
Yeah. I have I have made some very expensive mistakes,
Mm,
Patrick.
mm,
Um, in one of my more recent ventures,
yeah,
we were starting with an idea that was fairly disruptive,
yeah.
and meaning it didn't really exist in the market currently at
Mhm,
all. And so
mhm.
anytime you're moving towards something that's disruptive, you are
Yeah,
truly pioneering something where you're changing customer behavior to some
yep,
extent.
yep,
And when you intend to do that, it can become very expensive and kind of a black hole, if you
yep,
will.
yep.
And so, though we have not, completed that particular venture,
Mm,
throughout the course of that, we raised, somewhere between 18 and $20 million on that
okay.
venture
Mhm,
to
mhm.
pioneer this disruptive
Yep,
idea. And
yep.
the most of the initial plans that we had did
Yep.
not end up working as we had intended
Wow.
them to. And
Yep.
so, as you have to digest some of those things, there's
Yep.
all these decisions that come up as to, wow, should I have done this
Yeah.
differently?
Yep.
Could we have saved money on this, side
Yeah.
of things? And
Yeah.
and those are helpful questions to ask, of course, but you can also you can dive into it very deeply to
Yeah.
a point where it's unhelpful.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
True. True. True.
if you look at this from the outside, you can say, wow, that Alex, that was a really expensive MBA.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and that is partially true, but
Yeah.
at the same time, I wouldn't say that I regret it. So
Yeah.
your question there is, are there things that you wouldn't do? Like, I'm never going
Yeah.
to do that again. The answer to that question is unequivocally yes. Uh, Now,
Yeah.
there's some details behind that. So the industry that I was in was a
Yeah.
retail
Yeah.
e-commerce,
Yeah.
fairly low margin
Yeah.
business, very high capital
Yeah.
expenditure,
Yeah.
expensive to scale, high
Yeah.
infrastructure.
Yeah.
So you look at all these things and you think, wow, I checked the box of every hard thing that you
Yeah.
shouldn't do.
Yeah.
And so, looking back on that, I think, all right, I have learned a ton from this, and
Yeah.
it has not squelched my desire to pioneer new things, but it has absolutely given me wisdom
Alex,
that I
it,
maybe
Alex,
didn't ask for.
Alex, it does not quench that desire. I mean, I know, and I'll I'll just say a statement, and we don't have to dive deep into it. But you've moved from this sort of $20 million idea, et cetera, and in conversations you and I are having, you're working on this $100 million idea. So no, that failure did not quench. In fact, maybe they added gas into the fire, into your entrepreneurial fire.
Oh my goodness. So just last night we
Yeah.
had some over here at our house, and we were talking about building a multi-generational 100-year vision for our
Mm,
family.
mm,
That's what we were talking about. Could we write down a
yeah.
100-year vision for our family so
Wow.
that we, our children's children
Yeah.
would carry that vision on? And
Yes.
one of the stories that was shared, it was so powerful. I just wanted to
Yeah.
tell you really quick because it
Sure.
made me think of this. It was a story that a kid in school was asked to write an essay describing what their life would look like in 40 years. And so he
Yeah.
wrote this essay and he said, I'm going to own, a 200-acre
Mm,
ranch. I want there to be, horses on here. He just listed
mhm,
all these things, right,
mhm,
that he had in
mhm,
his mind. He
mhm.
built all the buildings. He sketched out the floor
Wow.
plans. Like he had all these things in mind.
Yeah.
Well, he turns in his paper, and then when he gets it back from the teacher gives him an F and says, "Please see me after class."
Mm,
And so this kid goes, to the teacher
yeah.
after class, and the
Yeah.
teacher says, "I'm sorry I had to give you an F, but I need you to write a realistic dream. Please come back to me and write something that is attainable for you in your life."
What?
And so the kid goes home and talks to his dad, and his dad tells him, without very much advice, says, "Son,
Yeah.
this is one of the most important responses that you'll have. And so I want you to think deeply before
Mm,
you respond." Didn't
mm.
really tell him what to do or how to do it
Okay.
or anything like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
This kid, a week later, turns back in the paper and has not changed one sentence in the whole paper.
What was the
And at the
question?
very bottom, it says, "You keep your F. I'll keep my dream."
Wow.
And I absolutely love the story because
Wow.
we need dreamers. I believe
Yeah.
God puts dreams in
Yeah.
people's hearts, and
Yeah.
God is a God of miracles. If you
Yeah.
look at the stories of scripture,
Yeah. Yeah.
God asks his people to do things that do not make sense
Mm, mm, mm.
and that
Yeah.
are unattainable, right? In the
Yeah.
natural, they're
Yeah. Yeah.
unattainable, right?
Yeah.
March around a city and shout,
And shout. Yeah. Yeah.
right? I mean, unattainable
Yeah.
things.
Or
And
strike
this
your
is
you strike your
crazy stuff.
rod against a rock and what will come out? What?
Yes, it's unattainable things. So
Yeah.
we gotta have people that are willing to dream big dreams. Do not let
Yeah.
people crush those dreams.
Oh,
Right?
that's
God
so
put them in
good.
your heart.
That's so good. And so you bring me to this aspect of your life, which is faith. And I love that, you talk about your faith as you do your business, right? And so one of the things you've defined success as giving honor to God and leading your family well.
Yeah.
Now, can let's take a step back. When did you realize that the traditional business metrics, right, net worth and all of that, weren't enough for you? That you needed to, sort of honor God, lead your family well as a success metric. When did you get that? This is more important than the traditional metrics of success.
Yeah, I would say that that transitioned for me probably close to 16 years old.
Okay.
God really got a hold of me about that time. Now, I grew up in the church. My
Uh-huh.
parents were faithful in helping teach me all of that, and I was grateful. They did an incredible job. But
Mhm.
at some point in every person's life, there are decisions you have to make personally as to whether or
Mhm.
not you're going to
Mhm.
follow that
Mhm.
on your own,
Mhm.
or
Mhm.
if you're just going to follow the faith, that you're told,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
I had to make a conscious decision for myself, and that happened for me about the age of 16. And as I read through scripture, I saw some common themes in there where God does not promise success to
Mm.
his followers.
Mm.
He does not promise uh, ease,
Okay.
right? He
Mhm.
does not. I mean, look at the life of Jesus himself.
Yeah.
Most of us would not aspire to that.
Yeah.
You never have a home, kind of wandering, just that's not what we think of when we think
Yeah.
of building success. Now, I don't think that God, doesn't want that for us either, but you have to understand that woven through the gospel is this understanding that life will be hard. And
Mhm.
just because we're experiencing something hard that doesn't make sense to us does
Mhm.
not inherently mean that God is not in it.
Mhm. Mhm.
God has revealed who he is
Yeah.
through scripture, which is above and bigger than the things that you're going through. So I'm completely convinced that within Christianity is the only time where you're going to find people that are suffering and joyful. Because the suffering is not connected to the nature of who God is. And so you have to be able to understand that God has proven who he is, which can speak to the suffering that you're going through and not define it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense. It makes absolute sense. And this is why I love our conversations, my friend, because you're always bringing in these interesting perspectives, right? Sort of making this connection between sort of the biblical path or the faith journey and the business. And so, yeah, that it absolutely makes a lot of sense. And so then takes me to another question, which is around, your role as a father, right? You've got 5 kids, and you talk about intentionally discipling your kids. So do your children understand, what dad does for work? And perhaps on the lighter side, have they ever given you some business advice that actually worked?
My children have been in the journey, the ups and downs journey of some of these entrepreneurial ventures, and some of that was intentional. My nature is to self-protect a little bit when I'm under stress, right? That's a fairly natural reaction. But as I've grown older and hopefully matured, I have learned that I need to bring my kids in on those sort of ups and downs, if you will. And so I started to, in a small way, open up with my children about the hard decisions that I needed to make at work. And you know what was very interesting? My kids are, they're fairly small, 11, 9, 7, 5, 3. So they don't have a ton of life experience, but when I would begin to reveal kind of hard decisions that I needed to make to my children when we're talking at night, do you know what their instinctive reaction was? Faith.
Oh, wow.
I think there's something so powerful here because, we've wanted to train our children, of course, in the gospel, but they're young, so they don't have all the answers. They don't know everything. There's something in a kid, right? We talk about childlike faith. There's something in a kid that is willing to trust. They trust you as your parents. They, it's in them to do that. And so when I would come and I would say, guys, I don't know, I have to raise X amount of dollars, right? I don't know where it's going to come from or how we're going to be able to do it and keep the lights on. And they would say, Dad, we can trust.
Wow.
You're going to figure it out. God's going to make a way. And in those times, it was my kids were teaching me things when I was just trying to lead them, right? They ended up teaching me those things. And so I really wanted to be open with them through a lot of those situations.
Yeah, that's amazing. And so I love how you've modeled that for the kids. And I want to go back to you where you intentionally in public you talk about serving your wife. So how do you separate your business stress from family time, right? How do you separate that? And now I'm asking for a friend. Does your wife also have veto power over some of your business ideas? Maybe some good, some crazy idea. I'm just asking for a friend.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
This is one of the hardest things, Patrick, to manage when you're leading a business venture or a part of a business venture that has required outcomes and expectations and responsibilities on you. How do you separate that from carrying that over to your family? And you know what? To some extent, let's be honest, there's going to be a transfer. Some of that stress is going to transfer.
True.
I don't have an answer that says, hey, this is how you do this perfectly. You just have it solved, right? But there are things that you can do. And so one of the things that has been so helpful for me and my family as we've talked through these things and I've just sit down with my wife to discuss these. It's, what are the rhythms that we need to put into our family culture that make sure that we are not at the mercy of the urgent, right? The tyranny of the urgent
Okay.
type of model. So we've had so many conversations to say, okay, what is a weekly uh, dinner look like for
Look
our
like.
family? Now
Yeah.
we eat dinner together as many nights as possible, but I
Yeah.
mean like a celebratory dinner.
Sure. Oh, nice.
What would that, could we do every single Friday night where we
Yeah.
just elevate it and we
Yeah.
bring everybody around the table and we it's the nicer, dining
Yeah.
ware or
Yeah.
whatever it is
Mhm.
that we
Yeah. Yeah.
have. Now, do we do that every week? No. But what we've done is we've asked ourselves, what are these rhythms that we
Yeah.
need to include in our family life so that family still takes priority and we're not just consumed by the work,
That's good.
around us. So
That's good.
that's maybe one answer to that
Yeah.
question. And
Yeah.
the other one is I have wanted to fight for the integration of work and family as much as possible.
Yes.
Again, have not done that perfectly. There's
Yeah.
no way to do that, but
Yeah.
some of the things that I've been able to do is bring one of my children on a work trip
Yep.
and prioritize that. So you
Yeah.
spend a little extra money on a flight,
Yep. Yep.
but
Mm-hmm.
you actually bring them with you and you bring
Mm-hmm.
them to meetings with
Mm-hmm.
you. I
Yeah.
want my children to be a part of the things that
That's
we're
what you're doing.
doing so
Mm.
that it's not just work is over here and make
Yeah.
money, but there's actual an integration that
Yeah.
happens there. And
Yeah.
so, yes, you have to be very intentional about that.
I love that. You know what I call that? Like I just look aside when people talk about work-life balance because for me I've just found that not to work. What you've just spoken about, that integration, I'm calling it work-life harmony, right? Where
Yeah.
again I'm bringing in my kids into what I'm doing. They're getting to know, oh, okay, this is the decision points, the tough things that I need to decide on. And sometimes perhaps get some insights from them, bouncing things around to my wife, say, hey, what do you think about this? And I'm trying to make this decision. What are your thoughts? And so for me, it's not an on and off switch. It's like, okay, work ends here and then life bring
Right.
in to try and bring that balance. For me, it's harmony. It's every single thing that I am doing in the office and in the home should work together. That the family should be able to say, oh, we see what you're working on, Dad. Well, have you thought about this? Oh, hey, Dad, there's a new movie that's coming up. Do you think maybe we could just have a family night and go watch this movie, right? And so
Yes.
sometimes what I do, for example, is it can be a Monday evening, right? It's like,
Yep.
okay, you know what? I've been working all through the weekend and stuff. And, my son comes in and is like, Dad, there's a new movie. Do you want to watch it? I'm like, okay, yeah, let's do it. Right. So that for
Yep.
them, what I'm trying to plant too is this notion that you can be as hardworking as you can, but you can also be that person that's also playing, right? You can also be that person that's enjoying a quiet moment. So having said that, do you completely disconnect from work? Do you have any hobbies that you do to sort of disconnect? Do you switch off a light, Alex? Because I know you work on multiple things. I mean, you're raising money, you're doing all of these things. Do you get times where you completely disconnect?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Mm.
One of the questions that was posed to me
Mhm.
was, are you willing to be as intentional at home as you are at work?
Mm.
We're very
Mm.
intentional at work, right?
Yep.
Are you willing to be as intentional at home? And what does that mean? Now,
Wow.
there have been seasons where I have not been able to shut off
Yeah.
at home.
Hmm.
And my wife would attest to that. And she's the one that brings accountability to me,
Yeah.
to say,
Yeah.
hey, this needs to be reset, right? And
I
and
love
I
it.
have tried
Yeah.
some different things.
Yeah.
There have been times where I've taken my cell phone
Yeah.
and put it in a box
Wow.
when I
Yeah.
get home. And then
Yeah.
we get dinner and kids and baths and all the kind of things. And then when you put that all away, you can
Yeah.
check it, make sure that there's no
Yeah.
fires you need to put out, but just trying to have some
Wow.
intentional time. But that
Mm.
doesn't mean that I'm bound to that either, right?
Yeah.
Rhythms are things that you try and some
Yeah.
work, some don't, and there's
Yeah.
seasons that they work and seasons that they don't. So
True.
there's a
True.
lot of things like that we could discuss.
Yeah.
But for me personally, one of the easiest ways for me to, I would say, disengage intellectually
Yep.
is working with my hands outdoors.
Okay.
That has
Yeah.
always been a hobby for me. It's hard to get me not to work. Now
Yeah.
I love a movie too, so
Yeah.
happy to put in one.
Yeah.
and enjoy that just as much. But
Sure.
I am always looking to do projects
Yeah.
outdoors, and not just by myself, but the point is to bring my kids along with
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. I
So
mean, you make me feel like I'm normal, so I'm in good company. So
good,
that's great. One of the
good.
things that I tried doing, and I've never shared about this publicly on any of my podcasts, was a couple of months back, I was challenged by my wife. She was like, "Hey, dude, you need to disconnect." I was like, "Okay. What does disconnect mean to you?" She's like, "You need to, be off your phone, be off your iPad, be off your
Yep.
computer, nothing." And I was like, "Okay." And I did that, and I booked a weekend away, and we went down to a place called Naturally Pacific. It's a beautiful resort in Campo River here in BC, or here on Vancouver Island. I left my computers. I left the phone in the car when we checked into the resort,
Yep.
and Friday, Saturday, Sunday, no gadget whatsoever.
Yep.
Here's the thing that happened, Alex. I kid you not. I was depressed on Monday morning.
Hmm.
I felt like I had lost something.
Okay.
I felt this deep void. And I couldn't explain it the whole Monday when I was back in the office. I couldn't explain it. And then just as I was about getting ready to move out of the office and go into a different space, it was like, voila, you disrupted your work-life harmony. Your work-life harmony is such that you'll have your phone with you. You'll I consider some of the things that I do as a juggler, right? In a circus act, that I keep all the balls in the air, right? And so I just provide enough attention, sufficient attention to make sure that I'm not dropping on anything. And that particular weekend, I was not looking at anything, so everything had fallen down.
Sure. Yep.
So this is why I'm asking you about, do you get to completely disconnect as an entrepreneur, or do you, have things in the back of your minds, have your board meetings? I have board meetings with myself all the time. Like, I'm like, okay, right, because I
Yes.
try and find this. The world tells us that, well, disconnect, work-life balance, da 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 da. And then I say, but I'm not wired that way.
Yep.
I'm not that kind of person who disconnects. So I really just wanted to tease your brain there and just find out what's your process. How do you, and perhaps there are listeners here too that are listening and like, oh, okay, I identify with Alex. I identify with PMak.
This is a really interesting question
Mm.
to flesh out, because
Yeah,
there's so much content to consume. There's so many books
yeah,
to read. There's so
yeah,
much, and there's people are kind of pushing you towards one thing or
yeah,
another that they've done
yeah,
in their own life, and sometimes it can
yeah,
be very overwhelming. And so
sure.
you'll hear people that say, "Hey, for 24 hours
Mm.
every single week, you need to turn your phone off
Yeah.
and go completely dark,
Mm-hmm.
and then every 3 months you need to take a week." And
Mm.
sometimes when I hear those things, I can get very overwhelmed because I'm not really wired that way, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And so what I've had to learn is, okay, um, let's chew out the meat, spit out the bones. What
okay,
what what is the value that I need to learn here that I could practice that
yes.
would level up my family? And
Oh,
and when you answer that question, it is okay if that looks different for you in this season than it does for somebody else, or what it might look for you, you know,
in
in
a
a couple
different
of
season.
years from
Yeah.
now. So
Mm-hmm.
here's what I'll tell you. There was a time in my life where I shut my phone off for a week.
Yep.
It's not really my nature. I
Yeah.
literally shut it off for a week. I told everybody to contact my wife if they needed me.
Yeah.
And was that a good experience? Yes, that was a great
Mm-hmm.
experience.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Mm-hmm.
can I do that every 3 months or every vacation? No, I am not wired that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are there
Yeah.
times where I do need to shut off for a weekend? Yes, and I
Yeah.
can learn something. But do not be so overwhelmed that you have to conform your life to fit what you think somebody else wants it to look like.
Love it.
Understand the value that they're trying to
Mm.
communicate, which is
Mm.
disconnection is helpful.
Yeah.
Prioritize
Yeah.
your relationship with your wife.
I love
Are
it.
you spending time in
Yeah.
silence and solitude?
Mm.
Those are the things that you need to begin to practice and implement. But
Yeah.
how that looks for you, Patrick, is okay if it's
Yeah.
different than
Yes.
someone else.
I love it. I love it. And so, listeners, it's okay for you to maintain that practice or that habit that's different from other people. Alex, we're coming up to our time, but I've got two questions that I wouldn't let you go without answering. The first one is, we've spoken in the past couple of minutes just about, your focus on family and faith over the traditional sort of metrics of success. If your kids were to remember only three things about how you lived your life, how you lived your life. What would you want these questions? What would you want these three things to be?
Okay. The first one would be that in every situation that I found myself in, my chief desire was to honor the people around me.
Okay. Love it.
That's number one.
Yep.
I want my life to be known for that. That again doesn't mean that I got it right every time. It doesn't mean that I made mistakes or that I never offended somebody, right? That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is for my own walk with the Lord.
Yeah.
I want to have peace to know that my heart's desire was to honor the people around me.
Okay.
Whether they felt it or not. So that was number one.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Top of my head, right? Number two, I would say that I want people to know that I pursued the things that God has given me. I've pursued them with 100% passion.
Mm-hmm.
It would be a travesty for me to get to the end of my life and discover that God had given me some gifts or resources that I did not use.
Oh man.
I hate it, Patrick.
Alex, I was talking about that on Tuesday in our small group meeting, and I said, the thing that keeps me going intensely like this is I would hate to get to heaven and see that I missed it. And see that I missed a gift, I missed a talent, I missed a moment that I was supposed to reach out to someone because I was being selfish about how I was spending my time.
That's right. Yep, absolutely.
Wow.
That is a driving force for me in my life. It is a driving force for me. The third one, I was thinking of a couple different things of how I would boil this down, but I would say that the third one is that I want people to speak of me, and I want my kids to speak of me that I pursued obedience and faithfulness. I believe all throughout Scripture, you see that obedience is the pathway towards blessing. Blessing lives in the land of obedience. One of my coaches used to tell me all the time. And so this is not about making the right decisions. It's not about doing everything right. It's not about never failing, right? That's not, God doesn't ask us to do that. That's not the standard. The standard is, the question is, have you been faithful with what I've given you? And have you been obedient? That matters to me almost more than anything else.
Wow.
So I don't know if those are in the right order necessarily, but
those are really, really powerful and so helpful for me to reflect on, and I'm sure for my listeners to reflect on. Last question. If you have to have dinner with three people, alive or dead, who would they be and why?
Three people.
Yep.
Okay, so first person that comes to my mind is Francis Chan. I would absolutely love to go to dinner with Francis Chan.
Okay.
There is a level of humility that I see in Francis that is very rare in people. He was leading an extraordinarily large church, Simi Valley in California, and chose to lay that down in pursuit of what God called him to, which for a season was being a missionary in China, starting other movements, and when you listen to him speak, there is this recognition that he exists to honor God and that it is not about him.
Yeah.
Dude.
Wow.
That is so impactful for me because I'm a visionary and I'm passionate and I want to conquer the world.
Yeah.
And yet, do you know how quickly those thoughts and feelings are that I'm the one that needs to go accomplish this? And that is not the point.
Yeah.
So I see that in Francis Chan. and I'm
Yep.
extremely grateful for his
Yep.
like
For
the
his
way
life.
that he
Yeah.
lives his life
Yeah.
in that way.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that would be the first one that comes to
Yep.
my mind.
Mhm.
The second one, this is a little bit more recent. So
Yeah.
your listeners may not have heard of this guy, but there's a guy named Jamie Winship,
Okay. Who's
and
he?
he was, I believe he was former like CIA negotiator.
Okay.
To some extent, I don't know his life story very well. I'm
Yeah.
just learning. In fact,
Yeah.
I've recently got one of his books,
Oh, you got this book
Living
there.
Fearless. I would
Fearless.
absolutely suggest that anybody reads this. This is unbelievably powerful book.
Wow.
Um, he has blown my mind with how he lived in a Muslim country and learned how to disciple Muslims to the faith, to the Christian faith,
Wow.
in a way that is so transformational in my own mind. Like,
Yeah.
just truly transformational. So
Wow.
I would love to sit down with him
Sit down
and
have a
just
conversation.
learn from his experience. He's in his 60s now, and
Wow.
absolutely worth anybody pursuing.
Yep.
So
Wow.
that would be those would be the two that are kind of front of mind. The third one is maybe a little bit more on the unrealistic, obvious, but if there was anybody in Scripture that I would want to talk to, I think it would probably be David.
Uh-huh.
And you could give an answer for almost any character in Scripture as to why you'd want to speak to them. But David made some horrible decisions in his life. And by our standards, he should have no credentials. Right? If anybody in this world, or if a pastor did what he did, they'd be gone so fast you'd never even hear their name again.
Yep.
David was a man after God's own heart.
Yeah.
And I would love to understand how he lived this. I'm a sinner, and I'm a horrible sinner, and I'm going to pursue God with everything that I have. That's just so impactful for me.
I mean, your list is so amazing. Again, always gives me insights into just this quest for knowledge and understanding that you have every single time. Alex Ruhter, thank you so much for joining me on Voices Listed with Dr. PMak. You always tickle my mind, and I'm left thinking about a whole range of things, right? From family dynamics and managing and leading my family, to business, to entrepreneurship, to my visionary pathway. Thank you for who you are. Thank you for what you bring to the world. And as always, I want to give my guests their flowers now, right? Alex, thank you for who you are to the world and what you bring to us.
I appreciate that, Patrick. You are a gift, and I'm grateful to be a friend.
Oh, thanks, man. Thanks. Listeners, thank you so much for listening to Voices Listed podcast show with Dr. PMak. Until next time, have a good one. Thank you for listening to the Voices Listed podcast with Dr. PMak. I hope you enjoyed insights that came out of this conversation. Keep your notifications on. Our next episode will be dropping soon. Thank you and enjoy.